Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of LWC Stack. So, guys, in today's video, we will learn how we can communicate between parent and child using API properties and API functions. So, basically, today we'll be having two examples here, and in the first one, we'll be sending data using the API property, and in the second one, we'll be passing the data using API functions. Okay, so this is my Visual Studio, and this is my default org. So if you have noticed, we are having a new tab here, which is parent to child. I have recently created it for today's demo because we will be communicating between parent to child component. Okay. So let's start with the first example, which is how to pass data using API property. Let's create first component now, which will be the child component. So let's create a new. Okay, so we'll be passing the data using API. So let's name it P2C is for parent to child. No, let's name it child of parent to child example. Okay, and using API. Okay, I know, I mean, this sounds completely strange name for a component, but this is what I can think of right now, so I will go with that, but you can definitely customize it as per your requirement. Okay, so let's create this component. Yes, we'll be having it in the default directory. Okay, so this is the component. So in this component, guys, what we will do, we will just pass the data from the parent component, and we'll be passing a loading percentage. If you have seen the loading screen, so you must have noticed like there's a percentage on those loading screens. So we will try to create that kind of functionality here. So let's start with this template thing. Let's create some basic HTML tag like the div tag, and let's have padding also. Okay, cool. Now under this div tag, let's have percentage. So for percentage, we'll be having it in a paragraph tag. Okay, and after the percentage count, we'll be having the percentage sign also. So this will be the percentage. Let's hit the new line. Okay, and also let's have the heading also. So we will be copying the heading from a component. Let's take it from this component. Okay, so we'll be using this lightning card from, and let's take this div also. Okay, so let's copy this and let's close it here. Lightning card is closed, and also we have to copy the component bundles. So we will copy this part here. Okay, looks good to me now. Let me just align the code. Okay, so we'll be having percentage, and we will try to show a loading percentage kind of bar here in this child component. So we'll just create a simple div, and we will give this, let me just close it first, and we'll give the style. Okay, and in this style we can have the value from the parent component. Okay, so let's have style, and let's bind the variable here. Okay, we'll be having this variable into the JavaScript part. Alright, so this is also looking fine to me. Now let's move to the JavaScript part first. So in JavaScript part, we will be importing the APIs first. So you just have to use API here. Okay, now in this class, we will be importing the percentage. So it will be coming from the parent component. Okay, now let's have the value in the style. So to have the value, we can use a getter here. Okay, and it will return. So we will be having we can have background color, let's say red, and height could be 50 pixels, and we will be having width. So for width, we'll be using the percentage, which we'll be getting from the parent component. Okay, so to get the parameter, this is the syntax that needs to be followed. Okay, so it will be this dot percentage, and after that we'll be having the percentage sign, and to close this statement, semicolon. Okay, so this is the child component. Now we'll be having the parent one, and let me check if we are having a problem here. Okay guys, so this was a strange error, so I just googled that error and find out like there's nothing to troubleshoot here, because it's a ID related error. So whenever VS Code sees anything that is not in quotation mark, and if it is treated like a value, like as you can see in style, we are just treating this style as a value, so it will just throw the error. But on Google the article says like it will still let the component to be deployed to the org. So let me just try to deploy it. Okay, see, it says deploy source to org successfully. And there was one more thing, there's a specific settings to turn this kind of ID issues. So the setting says you have to go to setting, then extension HTML. Okay, so we'll try to, okay, where's the settings here? Here it is. Alright, so in settings we have to go to extensions, then HTML. Okay, and in HTML we have to go to validate. Okay, and style, and turn off the style. Okay, so it is validate style and turn off controls whether the built-in HTML language support validate embedded style. Okay, so if I will just uncheck this, okay, so the errors are gone. So it was just because of this validation. So you can just turn it off if you want to, just to avoid these kind of unwanted issues. All right, so finally the error is resolved now. Now let me just go back to the style thing, background color, height, and width will be getting from the parent component. Okay, now let's quickly build the parent component. So the child component was child of P2C using API. Okay, so for parent component we will have parent of P2C using API. Okay, let's have it in the default directory and quickly build the component. So in parent component, let me just copy the, okay, from the child component also we have to update the heading. So let's make it I am child with API property. Okay, let me deploy it again. Okay, and let's copy these things to the parent one. So that's the parent one. This is the template, and here are component bundles. Okay. Okay. So in parent component, guys, we will be having a text box or input text. Let me just change the name first. Okay, let me just remove these things and let me have the lightning input. All right, let's have the type of number. Okay, and let's have the value, which will be percentage, because we are using it in the child component, and an on change event, handle on change. Okay, let's copy this and go to the JavaScript part now. In JavaScript part, we don't have to implement the API here because we have it in the child component and we'll be passing the data from parent to child. So let's have the percentage here, and let's have a default value, let's say 20. Okay, now let's have the function here, and using the function we'll be setting the percentage value. All right, seems like we are good to go. Let me just deploy it quickly. Deploy source to org. So it is deployed successfully. Now let's go to the org itself, edit page, and search for the guys, we forgot to implement the child component inside the parent one. Oh my god. Okay, let's have this underneath this input text. Okay, so my child component name was child child of P2C using API. So this was the name of my child component. Okay, and we'll be passing the percentage. Okay, so guys, this is the percentage variable which we'll be using in the child component, and this is the percentage from the parent component. You can have different names here. Okay, let me save it and deploy it one more time. Deploy source to org. It is deployed successfully. Now let's refresh the page. Here's the component. Okay, let's save it and check the output on page itself. Oh, we are not getting the proper style here. Instead of that, we are just having text here. We were supposed to get this div tag style instead of this text. So let's just check it out once in the child component. Here is the child component. Let's go to HTML, and in HTML it's okay. I think this is the style which is getting printed there, but still we are not having the style of the div. We have implemented the style, so basically it should display a div with background color red, height should be 50, and width should be the percentage. Okay, but somehow it is not getting populated. Let me just try to debug the issue. Maybe if we set minimum width, let's keep it 100 px, and let's have a border also, so we can just identify where the div is displaying. So it is 1 px solid black. Okay, let's apply the component again. It is deployed. Let's reload the page. Okay, so we can see the border here, but the height is not getting displayed. Let's change the value and see if the border is getting the border width is getting increased. So let's say if we type 80, okay, so it is getting increased here, but somehow we are not able to get the height. I mean, if we can get the height, so we would have get a proper view of it. So let me just try it one more time. So the height is 50. What if we give minimum height instead of the height, and let's give the minimum width of 10 px. Okay, let's try to deploy the component again, and hopefully we will be getting the proper view. All right, let's reload it. No, still we are not getting the height. Let me just show you the view. Like, I mean, if we were getting the height, right now we are not getting the height here. Somehow the height is not getting populated here in this style element also. I'm not able to see the height. Maybe it is because the div is empty right now. This could be the reason. So let me just have a dot here, and let's have a next line tag, deploy source to org. Okay, let me reload it, and hopefully we are just all right. So we are getting the height, but still the background color is missing here. Okay guys, I got the issue. So this is because I have misplaced the semicolon with comma, so it was a syntax issue. So I think it will be displaying the width also. Let me just remove, or let's keep it because it's a demo. We don't have to keep everything as it is. Let me just finally deploy it to org one more time, and now we will be having the proper view of a loading bar. Okay, as you can see, the loading bar is here. So let's change the value to 80. All right, so as you can see guys, it is working like a loading bar here. So let's say if we have 10, 20, we can also have the minimum value here. So like whenever we are having the empty value, so the status should be at minimum value. So that's how guys you can just pass value using the API property. Okay, So guys, let's move to the next example in which we'll be passing the value using the API function, and we'll be passing the value from parent to child. Okay, so guys, in next example we will pass a function through which we will be just refreshing the state of the child component. In the child component, on the load of the function, we will be just having the current timestamp in it, and we will be refreshing the function using the parent component. Okay, so let's create the child component first. Okay, I'm very bad at keeping the names, so let me just name it child of P2C using function. I won't suggest you guys to have the same name as I'm having right now. Okay, let's copy the HTML part first. This is the HTML. Let's copy the bundles also. Okay, these are the bundles. All right. Okay, so let's remove this style, and instead of percentage, we'll display the timestamp, which will be the current date and time. Okay, let's save this. Let's go to the JavaScript part. So in JavaScript part, we will just import the API first, and after that let's create the timestamp, and let's have the default value as the current date. Okay, and we will be calling a function using the API. So to call a function using the API, you have to add a annotation about that function, and let's name it refresh, and on the refresh function we will just refresh the timestamp with the current date. So this was the child component, and let me just deploy it. Okay, deploy source to org. Okay, it is taking time to deploy the component. Okay, it is deployed successfully, guys. Now we will create the parent component. So let's create a new component, parent of P2C using function. Okay, we have to select the command first. Command is create lightning map component. The name is very strange, and here it is. So we will just copy the bundles first. After that we will have the HTML part, and guys, we forgot to update the HTML part of the child component, so we will also update that later. And parent with API function, and that will be I think we updated in the wrong one. Let me just refresh it. API function. Okay, and in the child also we will update the heading. Here it is, and let's deploy the child component again. Okay, now we will open the parent component. So in the parent component we can have a button, and on that click of that button we can refresh the state of the child component. So we'll be basically calling the refresh function from child component, which will refresh the current timestamp. Let's create a lightning button quickly. Let's have a label of refresh, and on click we will be calling handle click. Okay, let's move to the JavaScript part. So on the JavaScript part of this parent component, we won't be importing the API here. We will just call the function and we will call the refresh using the template.query selector. Okay, we have to put the component name here. So the component name was child of P2C using function, and the function name was refresh. Okay, now let's add the child component. Let's add it underneath this button. Okay, so this was my child component name, guys. Okay, seems good to me. Let's deploy this now. Deploy source to org, parent of V2C using function. Okay, it is deployed. Now we will have this in this page. Here it is. Okay, let's save it and check the final output. So it is getting the current time, which is 4:30, and sorry, it is 9 p.m. So it is basically 9 o'clock, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so let me just hit the refresh, and as you can see, the seconds are getting refreshed. So guys, in this example, we are just calling a function from parent to child. So basically we are doing parent to child communication using the API function, and by using the API function we have called the refresh function, which was in the child component. Okay, and we are calling the refresh function on the click of the button, which is in parent component. So that's how we are just communicating between these two components, and that is the parent to child communication, guys. Okay, and guys, if you need the complete code, you can just directly go to my blog, which is salesforcebolt.com, and you can get the complete code from there, and you can definitely modify it as per the requirement. Okay, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you like today's video, guys, subscribe to the channel will be awesome. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks for watching.